Rocky Johnson pinned champions, but life almost pinned him. Racism, addiction, legal trouble. The father of The Rock fought battles way tougher than any wrestling match. How'd he kick out when life had him down for the count? Let's find out. Now, most of you probably know Rocky Johnson as the father of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, one of the biggest names in entertainment history. But Rocky was a legend in his own right, breaking barriers long before The Rock ever stepped foot in a wrestling ring. Rocky Johnson was born Wade Douglas Bowles on August 24, 1944 in Amherst, Nova Scotia, Canada. He was one of five sons and grew up in a poor family. When he was 14 years old, Johnson moved to Toronto, Ontario to live with his mother. There he started working out at a young age and dreamed of becoming a professional wrestler. Rocky started wrestling in the early 1960s, and he worked his way up. He got the name Rocky Johnson, and people really liked him. He was super athletic and had a lot of energy. Everyone loved watching him wrestle. In the 70s, Rocky got even more famous. He joined a big wrestling group called the NWA and started winning a bunch of matches. He even won a really important championship. But like many figures in the spotlight, Rocky's life wasn't without its share of controversy. And today we're going to take an honest look at some of the darker chapters in his story. One of the most serious controversies surrounding Rocky Johnson stems from a 1987 incident where he was arrested and charged with the doing illegal and immoral things to a 19-year-old woman. Now, it's important to know that the charges were eventually dropped, and Rocky always maintained his innocence. He claimed he was being set up by rival wrestlers who wanted to damage his reputation. But even though he said he was innocent, this caused big problems for him. Wrestling companies didn't want to work with him anymore, and he felt sad and upset. He started to drink a lot, and it even made things hard between him and his son, Dwayne. Rocky's love life was kind of messy too. He got married 2 times and had children with both of his wives. But that's not all. He also had other girlfriends, and he had even more kids with them. It turned out that he had at least 5 other children that nobody knew about for a long time. Can you imagine finding out you have a brother or sister you never knew about? That's what happened to these kids, and it made them feel sad and confused. They wished their dad had been around for them. Rocky also faced his fair share of financial challenges. He was involved in a lawsuit with his former writing partner, James Henry "Jim" Teal, over his autobiography, Soulman. Teal claimed that Rocky failed to pay him for his contributions to the book, and the legal battle led to the book being pulled from publication. It's a shame that a project meant to celebrate Rocky's life and career ended up filled with controversy. Rocky also had some problems with his son, Dwayne. You probably know Dwayne as The Rock. They loved each other very much, but sometimes they would argue and stop talking for a while. This was probably because Rocky made some mistakes and did some things that hurt his family. Luckily, they made up and became friends again before Rocky died. Dwayne always says that his dad was a big inspiration to him. Another thing about Rocky was that he always said exactly what was on his mind. He wasn't afraid to tell the truth, even if it made other people angry. He talked about how some people were mean to him because of his race, and he always tried to stand up for what was right. Sometimes, though, he said things in a way that upset people, and this caused problems with other wrestlers. Even though Rocky had some tough times, he was a great wrestler and an important person. He showed everyone that you should always fight for what you believe in and never give up on your dreams. So that's a little bit about Rocky Johnson. He was a really important wrestler who helped change things for other wrestlers, especially those with darker skin. He even inspired his own son, The Rock. But Rocky wasn't perfect. He made some mistakes and had some hard times in his life, just like everyone else. It's important to remember that wrestlers are real people with real lives outside of the wrestling ring. They have good times and bad times, just like us. Rocky Johnson's legacy is a complicated one, but it's a legacy that deserves to be remembered and understood. If you are a true fan despite the controversies that he started, keep watching because now I have a quick rundown of his epic career. In the late 1960s and early 70s, Rocky made a name for himself in the hotbed of wrestling California. He battled it out with some of the biggest names in the business, like the villainous Freddie Blassie, the masked menace the Destroyer, and the tough as nails John Tolos. These were wild matches, full of action and drama, and Rocky held his own against the best of them. Rocky was so good at wrestling that he became one of the best in a group called the National Wrestling Alliance, or NWA for short. He even got to try and win the biggest prize in wrestling, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. He wrestled against tough guys like Terry Funk and Harley Race, who were like the champions of the whole wrestling world. Even though he didn't win the big championship, Rocky showed everyone how talented he was. Rocky was also awesome at tag team wrestling, which is when two wrestlers team up together to fight another team. He won lots of championships with different partners and traveled all over the place to wrestle. He even wrestled in Memphis against a famous wrestler named Jerry Lawler, who called himself the King. Rocky was so good that he even beat Jerry Lawler and took his crown. In 1982, Rocky joined a really famous wrestling group called the World Wrestling Federation, or WWF. It's the same group that we know today as WWE. In the WWF, Rocky wrestled against even more tough guys like Don Morocco, Greg Valentine, and Adrian Adonis. These matches were really exciting, and Rocky always gave it his all. But the coolest thing that happened in the WWF was when Rocky teamed up with another amazing wrestler named Tony Atlas. They called themselves the Soul Patrol, and they were awesome. They were both really strong and fast, and the fans loved to cheer for them. One day, the Soul Patrol had a really big match against a team called the Wild Samoans. The Wild Samoans were really tough and scary, but Rocky and Tony were even tougher. They beat the Wild Samoans and became the tag team champions. This was a really special moment because they were the first African-American team to ever win the championship. They made history. Even after Rocky left the WWF in 1985, he kept on wrestling. He traveled all around the world, wrestling in different countries and different cities. He even teamed up with his brother, Ricky Johnson, to wrestle together. After his retirement, Rocky started training Dwayne. You probably know him as The Rock. He's a super famous actor and wrestler now. But when Dwayne was young, Rocky didn't really want him to become a wrestler. Wrestling is a tough job, and Rocky knew that firsthand. But Dwayne was determined, so Rocky agreed to train him. He was a tough coach, really strict, but that's what helped Dwayne become such an amazing wrestler. Rocky even helped Dwayne get a job with the WWF. At first, Dwayne wasn't so popular. He had a different name then, Rocky Maivia. But after a while, he changed his style and became The Rock, a super cool and confident wrestler. He became a huge star, and Rocky was so proud of him. Because Rocky was such a great wrestler and had such an awesome career, he was chosen to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. That's like a special club for only the best wrestlers ever. It was a big honor, and his son, The Rock, was the one who officially put him in the Hall of Fame. He was also known for his interesting life outside of wrestling. Rocky was married a few times and had children with different women. He first met his wife, Una Sparks, at a dance. They had 2 kids together named Curtis and Wanda. Rocky was working hard to become a successful wrestler and provide for his family. Sadly, he passed away on January 15, 2020, at the age of 75. He was at his home in Florida, a beautiful house that his son, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, had bought for him. It's comforting to know he was in a place filled with love when he passed. Rocky died because of something called a pulmonary embolism. It might sound a bit complicated, but it basically means a blood clot formed in his leg and traveled up to his lungs, making it very difficult for him to breathe. It's heartbreaking to think that Rocky, who was always so strong and tough, had been feeling a bit under the weather before he passed. He thought he just had the flu, something that happens to everyone, so he didn't want to bother going to the doctor. When he died, his son Dwayne was incredibly sad. They were very close, and Dwayne was so proud of everything his dad had accomplished. Dwayne talked about how his dad had a really full life, one where he worked hard and did amazing things in the world of wrestling. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was a trailblazer who broke down barriers and paved the way for others. He truly left his mark on the sport. The news of Rocky's death made a lot of people very sad, not just his family. Many other famous wrestlers were heartbroken too. Hulk Hogan, another huge name in wrestling, shared his sadness with the world. He said that Rocky was a fantastic person and a truly good friend. He remembered how kind Rocky was to everyone, especially new wrestlers who were just starting out and needed a helping hand. But Rocky was so much more than just a wrestler. He was also a dad, and his life story became a big part of popular culture, especially when his son became a famous actor. There's even a TV show called Young Rock, all about Dwayne's life, and it shows Rocky's life and journey too. It's really interesting to see how his experiences shaped Dwayne into the man he is today. Even before Young Rock, Dwayne actually had the chance to play his dad in an episode of That 70s Show many years ago. Can you imagine that? That was actually Dwayne's very first time acting on TV. It must have been a special experience for him to portray his own father. In Young Rock, an actor named Joseph Lee Anderson plays Rocky. It's really cool to see his dad's story come to life on the screen. When Rocky died, the people making the show were deeply saddened, and they decided to dedicate the very first episode to his memory. It's a beautiful tribute to a wonderful man. Rocky Johnson was a truly important figure in wrestling. He was incredibly talented and strong, and he changed the world of wrestling in so many ways. He wasn't afraid to be different and break the rules, which made it easier for other wrestlers who came after him. But most importantly, he was a loving dad and a fantastic friend. Even though he's no longer with us, his memory lives on through his son Dwayne and all the amazing stories people share about him. He'll always be remembered as a legend in the wrestling world, an inspiration to us all. If you want to learn more about Rocky Johnson and his incredible journey, be sure to check out the TV show Young Rock. It's a really fun and heartwarming show that tells the story of his life and his son, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's life too. You'll see how Rocky's experiences shaped Dwayne into the man he is today. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It really helps us out. And if you want to see more awesome content like this, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. We're always working hard to bring you interesting and entertaining stories about amazing people, just like Rocky Johnson. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Oh, and one more thing. If you have any cool stories or memories of Rocky Johnson, we'd love to hear them. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep his legacy alive. His legacy alive.